Let us assume that you are running a web server in a private local area network behind your border router, and you want that web service to be accessible by an external client, such as this laptop. To achieve this, you will need to implement Destination NAT or DNAT, which is what we're going to configure in this lesson. Without further ado, I will open up my border router, navigate to its CLI, enable conft hostname border router, and I will enter the interface facing my web server, which is 0/0/1. I will assign it the IP address of 192.168.1.1 and the subnet mask of 255.255.255.0. I will make it a NAT inside interface, and I will bring it up. Next, we need to configure the public interface of this router, which is Gigabit Ethernet all zeros, and we will assign it a public IP address such as 200.0.0.1 with a /24 subnet mask again, 255.255.255.0. We'll make this one a NAT outside interface, and we shall bring it up with the no shutdown command. Finally, we need to create a NAT mapping between the public IP address of this router and the private IP address of the web server. To do that, I need to run ipnat inside source static. It's going to be static NAT TCP, because HTTP runs over TCP, 192.168.1.100, which is going to be the IP address of our web server on port 80, and then the public IP address of our router by specifying port 80 as well. So this configuration maps all traffic hitting 200.0.0.1 on port 80 to 192.168.1.100 on port 80. I will save my changes, close the window. Make sure that this server has the correct IP address, which is 192.168.1.100. /24 is a subnet mask, and the default gateway is 1.1. And make sure that the HTTP service is on. Lastly, I'll go over to the external client, and I will give it an IP address of 200.0.0. let's say 10, just so that it resides in the same subnet as the IP address of our router on its public interface. I will fast forward the time, and if I open up the external client and I launch a web browser, I should be able to HTTP to the web server by supplying the public IP address exposed by the router, which indeed works as expected due to the static NAT mapping that we configured earlier on our router, thereby verifying that we have successfully configured Destination NAT. And if we go to our router, back to its command line, run end and run show IP NAT translations, we can see the translations taking place, with the inside global IP address being the public IP of the router and the inside local address being the IP address of our web server, while port 80 is used on both ends. You can also inspect the NAT table of the router by clicking on the magnifying glass, clicking on the border router, and click on the NAT table. And you can see the same information there too.